I support this.
I've been playing in Berlin for 4 months this year. You can go like this the whole time, yeah.
I do this definitely for the love, and it's a good thing. I feel blessed that I also am able to make money doing what I love doing.
Follow me, follow me.
I'm Busking in Berlin right now, right here.
I'm Temple Hayes.
Wait, you're what?
Temple Hayes.
Temple Hayes. What's your name?
Temple Hayes.
If it's going well, it's great. If it's not going well, it sucks.
Having a policeman coming up to you and saying, you can't do this here.
The band itself started long ago, but in this constellation we play like 6 years? 7. Maybe 7 years, yes.
The island I was talking about is right.
The issue at hand is we might have too much stuff, so people won't pick us up.
That was the point where I kind of snapped and said, now I'm going to do music.
We are Puto Production from Berlin. I'm Miguel and this is Damien. I'm from Chile, he's from Cuba. And we do some drum beats just with the drums. We played together like 9 years. In our part we started to play in 2010. We play together very intensive, I think, since 2011. There we was playing every Sunday here in our part. We was playing years and years on the streets, but for fun and for love, because we love music. And in the end, a lot of people was telling us all the time, hey, you have a CD, I want to have your music for home. And like it was during like a lot of years we wasn't with any CDs, and a lot of times we wasn't even collecting money because we was doing it for fun. We was jamming on the streets, and for us it was like something cleaning ourselves with the music and having fun and connecting with the people, and it was not about money. The most funny story about about music as a street art was in the train station for me, because I do DJing. A lot of times I have playing in the train station, Schlesisches Tor, and if you put in music in some space, especially in a place where it's not expected to have some party or some music, then the atmosphere is changing. And usually there at the train station there was a huge party going on, and one time it was so full the people wasn't coming out of the train anymore, and then the police was coming and closing the doors, and they were looking very aggressive, and we was in the middle of an electro party, and in the end I was feeling the bad vibes against the police. You know, there was like people shouting and was kind of collapsing the energy and the vibe, and then I was putting in One Love from Bob Marley, and the whole situation changed because it was coming some aggressive energy, and then when I was putting One Love, then everybody was hugging each other and making peace signs and smiling everywhere, and then even the police was changing the face from aggressive to looking to each other and beginning to smile. And after that the police was coming to me, and it was a completely illegal party, and the police was coming to me and saying, okay, if the party stays like this in a positive way, then you can continue.
Every day on the street corners, train stations, markets, tourist hotspots, you see people performing, trying to earn a living or wanting to showcase their art. This can be found all over the globe, from musicians, mimes, clowns, fire performers and artists. Some of them extremely talented, some of them extremely bizarre. This documentary is about a filmmaker called Carl, who wanted to see what it was like to live his life as a street musician. What turned out was not what he expected. Having grown up in Australia in the small town of Perth, music was always a keen interest of his, but he wanted more adventure, so he went to Berlin to make a documentary. Carl briefly lived in Berlin in 2011 and decided to make Berlin the subject of his film. Wanting to set himself a challenge, he flew to Berlin penniless, but for a guitar, to experience firsthand as a busker the duration of 6 months, living only on the money earned on the street.
I think it all started about a year ago when I was living in Australia, and I decided I wanted to make a documentary about street music. I guess maybe the thing I found interesting was, why do people become buskers, and why do you end up doing that? Like, as the musician I once was 10 years ago, you see, I used to want to, all I wanted to be was a rock star. Like, growing up, that was my dream. And so the idea of playing on the street didn't really appeal to me, because it just seemed it's something that you're almost begging for money, or at least that's the interpretation that comes across when you're in Australia. I mean, you walk past people they're generally playing some crappy songs that you've heard a million times, and it doesn't wow you. So I hadn't wanted to be one in the past, but then I met some people in Australia who had been busking, but they were also a real band, and they showed me that you can actually make a bit of decent money from doing this, but I had no idea. And then it started to intrigue me. What is this world of busking and what's going on? And there have been several musicians that have made it famous throughout doing this. Like, one of them had a guy called John Butler Trio, another guy called Dub FX, you know, and these are two really huge artists that started on the street and now are quite famous. So there was definitely something there, and it wasn't something that I had experienced before. So what not a better thing to make a movie about? But obviously, living in Australia, all these licenses and permits and areas you can play, and we don't really have a tourist hotspot. I mean, other than the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, we don't have a tourist hotspot, and I'm not from Sydney. Whereas places like Berlin, you know, you have the Brandenburg Gate, you have the Berlin Wall, you have the Reichstag, you just have places of history. So that's what appealed to me, but not just that, the artistic culture that was going on here. And, you know, you had people like Iggy Pop and David Bowie that were living in Berlin, and Nick Cave. And this was creating this, like, underground art scene. So I think what better place to have it than Berlin, where even though it is Germany and Germany is known for having such strict laws on things, like Berlin is one of those places that is actually quite different. People just bring their art to the streets here. So for me, that's why I picked Berlin and why I started doing this movie. And now it begins, how did it all happen, other than I knew I wanted to make it here. I knew I had set myself these rules: you can only busk, you can that's the only way you can earn money, and you have to do this every day for 6 months, starting from the summer all the way to the winter. And when I came here, I only had like €30 in my pocket, so it was going to be hard. And from day one, I had problems. But so I just I booked my flight over here, and that was it. You know, I didn't ask to stay with anybody. I didn't have anything prepared. I didn't have anyone helping me. I had no camera crew. You know, I just packed my camera, my guitar, and basically arrived. And from day one, I had to start busking.
Carl headed out on his first day of busking, eager to find out if the experience would go as planned. Only now did it settle in how this might not be quite as easy as it had originally seemed.
Alright, it's my first day busking today, and I've borrowed an acoustic guitar from my friend because I don't have an amplifier. So I'm going to see how it goes, but I only know a handful of songs. So yeah, this is the start of my 6-month adventure. Well, I already had problems from the first day. When I'd actually flown into Frankfurt, and from there I had organised a train into Berlin, but I actually missed my train, and then I had to spend almost all the money I had on a new bus back to Berlin. And then the first day I actually got there, I caught up with my old roommate Max, and we hadn't seen each other since 2011.
Max was Carl's old roommate, but no stranger to the world of music. At the age of 17 in 2007, he stumbled into the German equivalent of American Idol, only to find it was not for him, and he quit as one of the last 3, which caused for an uproar in the German media world. He released a record, Confessions, with his band Empty Trash, collaborated with artists such as Eric Burdon, sang live with Bob Geldof, Bono, Loop Fiasco, and performed on Amnesty International's 50th anniversary song alongside Chris Christopherson, Ewan McGregor, Lee Bon Helm, and many more, also providing vocals on a track with Ringo Starr for Klaus Voormann's Grammy-nominated record, A Sideman's Journey. Despite the struggle for credibility because of the TV show, he released his first solo record, Sidewalk Conversation, in 2012. Since then he's been playing streets, support shows, bars, stadiums, wherever he can, as long as it means he's been able to play.
So a year and a half after Carl left Berlin, he rang me up and told me he's back in town, and we met at 8mm, my favorite bar, and he started telling me about his documentary. And we were kind of bored, there was nothing happening at 8mm, so we decided to go on a pub crawl. We got so wasted that after Carl telling me, oh, I have this amazing camera and I'm doing this documentary, you know, he lost his camera, drunk as he was, and I lost my phone.
It's my 3rd day. I lost my camera. I lost my camera on the first day. I'm a fucking idiot. I went out till last night to find it. 9. Shit.
I ended up selling my MacBook Pro just to get a new camera to film this.
Which was pretty stupid for him, because that set him back a couple of €100, and I guess that kind of made him start busking seriously.
I went out to go busking on my second day, and then I didn't make any money, so you know, things were tough.
Yeah, because he had to make up, you know, for the money. He had to get a new camera, because without the camera, his whole project, his whole thing wouldn't work.
While failing to succeed in the first week, Carl knew he needed to find out how to become a successful busker. So he went down to Mauer Park to meet Alice, a South African street performer, to find out what her first experience playing on the street was like.
I don't know what to play anymore. I've played all my prettiest songs. I'm gonna play a song that I played right in the beginning. So sorry, because you've been sitting here the whole time. You're gonna have to hear. You can go like this the whole time. Yeah. Sorry. My name's Alice. I'm from Cape Town. I've got some CDs. They're €10, and thanks for the support. I think this will be my last song. I'm gonna take a break and eat some food, and then I'm gonna play somewhere else. So yeah, I really appreciate it. The song is called The Acrobat.
My name's Alice Phoebe. I've been playing in Berlin for 4 months this year, but when I was traveling around last year for like 8 months, and I was actually making money from doing fire performance.
You are the crazy acrobat.
When I came to Berlin, that wasn't working very well. Like people would be like, "Oh, cool, fire," but they wouldn't actually give me money. So then I was like, "Yeah, I got a guitar, I play a few songs." My first experience, I was so broke that I couldn't afford food. Like literally, I'd been traveling for 6 months on like €1,000 in 6 months. That's all the money I had.
My first time busking was in San Francisco, and I did it on Haight-Ashbury. I made $1 and I got some pennies, some dimes, you know.
So the first time I played is 2001, that's 12 years ago. I was studying in a town in Denmark, Aarhus.
So my very first time busking was, I was very new, I'm still very new at the guitar, I mostly sing, and I needed practice, and my neighbours were getting pissed off with me practicing, in the house.
I eventually, I had no fucking money, and the fire dancing wasn't working, and me and my friend were getting a little bit dodgy. We were like, fuck, where are we gonna stay? What are we gonna do? And she was like, just play on the street, and I was like, oh, fine, because the thing is, I wasn't shy doing the fire, but when it came to playing music on the street, it was a whole different thing.
And then a man spit in my case. It was the first time I ever tried it. I just bought my guitar, giving it a shot,
And the school had to go on a field trip kind of thingy for the weekend, and we had to raise like €50 to get on the trip. And I did not have €50, and I had asked everybody in the school if they could lend me the money, and they could not. And then this gal, she told me to go into the street.
So I went to Hackische Markt, which is like a very touristic, restaurant-y kind of area, and I went to this, the exit of the subway, and I sat on the ground, and I literally played like this the whole time, but I somehow managed to make €10.
So I just took it down to a park. I just took my guitar and plonked out the guitar case in front of me and just played for myself, really. First time I played, I loved it. I played for maybe 3 hours.
And I went out and I sang and I made the money. And it went quite well. So I started busking every day since then.
and because like that gives you some kind of confidence. So from there you start raising your eyes a bit and looking at people, and that's when you actually make more money, because once you make that human connection with people, people want to help you more, you know.
And I remember taking a piece of paper and writing down my repertoire, which consisted of 9 songs, and Come Together was one of them, and I believe I sang Billie Jean in a key way too high for me.
In the first 15 minutes I made €5, and then a girl sat down next to me and shared a joint with me, and then I played for like 3.5 hours after that, and I didn't make any money, but I had a great time.
I mean, at the moment, like, I'm getting some opportunities with bigger kind of things in music, but I'm keeping the standpoint that I will carry on doing street music, and whether I'm, you know, like more famous or if people know me more or whatever, I would do street tours rather than regular tours, and like just publicize where I'm going and play on street corners in different cities, because my passion isn't just music at this stage, it's street music, and because it's like this feeling of like not just playing for a crowd of people who have come there to see you, you're playing for random people who are in between picking up their kids from school, going here, and in between their rushed lives they just stop and they have this moment where you give them something, and that's really special for me.
I'd been told Merril Park was this really interesting place to go do it at, because they have the whole history of the Berlin Wall there. I mean, the reason why it's called Merril Park is because Merril means wall, and the wall used to run through there, and now they have a big market there every Sunday, an open-air karaoke event which attracts thousands of people. And while I was there, I bumped into a guy named Temple Hayes, who is this American kid, and he told me his whole story as to how he got started busking.
Alright. I've been in Berlin for about 8 months and busking pretty much that whole time. May 1st for May Day, and we had all these punks come on and people were giving us beer, and it was just, we went all night. We had 6 amps and we just set them all up, and man, we had 4 vocals, bunch of guitars. It was fucking great, man.
Baby, don't you wanna drive my car? Know how to drive. Baby, don't you wanna fix me up? Better learn.
Busking is just kind of a way to get by, you know. I'm a musician, when you look at the jobs around here, I mean, you work as a dishwasher or something, you get €5 an hour, and they want you to work at night, these kind of things. But if you busk every night, you can make 35, 40 euros minimum. It's all on the street, people, they give you respect for that. They pay you and say, hey, it was great, you know, thanks for being here. Now we play on the street, man. We play everywhere, we just want to play music.
You gotta pick me up when I go down. Baby, don't you wanna tell me what in your town? I've never seen myself like you did.
The goal is to make music a career and make music work, because the music that we're making with my band Temple Hayes, we're working with Tone Vision Studios and Fronauer, and we're putting out an EP, and it starts on the street, and then you bring it out there, and then we're going to festivals, man. Well, when you play on the street, there's none of this disconnection that you can get on the stage between audience and artist. Because an artist is there with the people, and they just put their soul out there for the people, and it's for free. It's a donation. It says that you come, you give what you want, and we play for you. We play all day. We play because we live to play. But I mean, when you're on a stage, you can make a really big show, an amazing show, and you can really impress people. When you're in the street, you don't have these fancy lights, you don't have these big amplifiers, you just have a room with a crate and a really shitty mic, and you put your soul out there, and it's 10 times harder playing an actual than playing an actual gig.
Well, after speaking to a few buskers, you know, they all told me they kind of had different acts. Some of them had gimmicks or whatever, or what was their like strength point in attracting people. So I tried to look at it in a different light of view. I mean, I wasn't a very good musician, but I'm sure I could find a way to entertain people. I mean, you have all different sorts of buskers. Some are singer-songwriters, some are jugglers, some are the human statues that paint themselves all gold and silver. And so I thought, what's a way I can kind of stop people on the street? And I happened to have one of those novelty horse head masks that I had brought with me. I thought, oh, it might be funny to take some photos with while I'm in Berlin. So I decided to put that on one day, and actually noticed a lot of people started paying a lot more attention to me. Obviously, my music wasn't that good, but they're like, oh, it's a guy in like a horse mask, and you know, it's kind of funny. And it was at the end of June, which I'd arrived, and it was a really hot day. It was about 27 degrees, and I was absolutely sweating with this horse mask on, and I'd only been playing for half an hour, but I made about €6, and I was like, wow, okay, €6 compared to like the €1 I made without it, that's quite a difference. But I'm like, I can't do this much longer with, you know, being so hot. So I decided to take off my shirt and then play. And I noticed people started paying a lot more attention to me. They're like, oh, that's that shirtless guy in a horse mask. And I thought, fuck it, I'll just take my pants off as well. And that day, I think I made €30, and that was like the best day I'd ever had. For me, like to go out busking and make €30 when, you know, other people are just making a handful of money working at McDonald's. I thought that was really great. So I went and caught up with a friend, had a beer, and said, hey, today I went out and I put this horse mask on and I took off my shirt and my pants and I made all this money. And he's like, wow, maybe that could be your thing. And I was like, yeah. But like, I need a name, maybe I need to create myself a Facebook page. So we rattled through ideas around it and came up with the Naked Horse. Except neigh is like neigh, the sound a horse makes. So naked. And I guess that's how it all got started.
Today, gonna get a little naked. Hopefully I earn some money because I'm really broke. Got about €2. I need to earn 100. Yep. So there we go.
I'm a horse. 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 I'm a horse.
even after doing pretty well the first few weeks, playing as this whole naked horse character, I was still a long way behind because I had lost my camera the first day and I had to come up with a way to continue filming this movie. And what I found out from talking to these other buskers was that you have to do more than just play. I mean, if you want to make that extra money, you need something to sell. And some musicians have merchandise, like whether it be CDs or little badges or even t-shirts. So I had to figure out a way to kind of get some extra money. I mean, I was just scraping by, but I was going out there every day and doing this. And if it was raining, I couldn't play. And then one day I got a message from someone on my Naked Horse Facebook page, and it was a lady from Canada saying that her son had actually seen me playing and thought it was really funny. And he was with his sister, like showing her around Berlin because he had just moved to Berlin and she was there on holiday. So the sister had then told her mum how like he thought this was the funniest thing he'd ever seen, and then the mum contacted me and said, would you play a surprise birthday for him? And at first I thought, well, do people actually find this funny? Like it's kind of strange, but like I could see how that'd be a funny present. So I said, tell me a bit about yourself. I explained that this was for a documentary. But then they said, we'll pay you, and I thought, well, I'm behind on my rent, and I guess this is what other buskers do. You need to find like other opportunities to earn money, whether it be selling a CD or playing a private show. I mean, other buskers are also doing bar gigs, so I thought, hey, why not? So we organized it all, and his friends had told me like where they were going to be celebrating their birthday. So I'd arranged to learn how to play Happy Birthday on guitar, and I was actually learning it on the way on the train ride there. I mean, I only had a few days to organize it, so yeah, I kind of left it to last minute, but we went there and everything went off as a hitch. I mean, everything went off great. I kind of hid across the road until he went inside, and then I kind of came over, and I think he's looking at me going, who's that horse guy? Like, I've seen him before. And then I come over and I start playing him Happy Birthday, and it was just
Happy birthday, Tyler. Happy birthday, where you go. You're gonna party tonight. You're gonna get fucked. You're gonna party with a naked horse too. Yeah. So I think we should sing this once again.
Tyler, happy birthday to you.
One of the things I learned the most was it wasn't all going to be good, and it wasn't all going to be easy. I talked to some other buskers about bad experiences they have had, and we all, share some common themes.
My worst experience, I've never really had a bad experience busking.
We would go out, we'd play for 6-7 hours.
Some guy pissed on me once.
You spend an hour packing up all of your shit, all your instruments, all of the amplifiers.
But there's some spots where the music I make is much more quiet and
setting everything up, getting ready for this big day to hopefully be able to earn enough to make rent for that week.
It's slow and sort of old school bluesy, so fast-paced areas don't work. Like there's some areas where you get a lot of people walking past all the time, but they don't stop if you've got quiet, soulful music.
Starting your first song and having a policeman coming up to you and saying, "You can't do this here."
Send in your photos, please. Like my page.
One of the times that I had was I was playing at Warschaustrasse, one of the most popular train stations in Berlin, because there's a lot of foot traffic to where all the nightclubs go. And I really needed some money that month to pay my rent, so I went out at night to go busking. And so I set up everything, I started playing. I think I'd only been playing for about 20 minutes before some guy rips off my horse mask and runs away down the street with it. And I'm just standing there with my pants at my ankles and nothing to do other than being like, come on, someone chase after that guy. And I never got my mask back, so I had to go buy another one. But there'd been a really few close calls where my rent, it had come to the end of the month and my rent was due, and I'd had enough money for my rent, but I didn't have to make any more. I didn't have enough money for anything else. And then something would go wrong, like my amplifier broke 3 days before my rent was due, and I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? Like, I can pay my rent, but then I'll have no money to buy a new amplifier and I'll be stuck, or I can use my rent money to buy an amplifier, but then I've got 3 days to come up with a whole new amount of rent money. But so I had no other choice, so I used my rent money to buy a new amplifier, and I made the money.
3 days?
In 3 days, I just went out and I played until I just played and played and played, and I made the money. So it just goes to show, like, if you need to do it, you can. Even one day I remember it was raining, but I was like, no, I need to make this money. And I remember as it started raining, I turned on the distortion and I started playing Thunderstruck. The people that walked past me, started pulling their umbrellas out, and they're like, Thunderstruck, and I only maybe had 9 people walk past in those 10 minutes, but I made about €15 because everyone's just like, this guy's got guts. I'm playing there in the rain with my pants off and a horse mask on, just ripping out the solo. Moments like that, sometimes you think, oh no, like, it's about to rain, I have to pack and leave, but sometimes you're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I mean, you've got to take the good with the bad. I mean, it's not all gonna be easy. And sometimes, like, after this guy took my horse mask, and I was like, I really wanted to, like, kick it in, and after my amp broke, I was like, fuck this, am I really gonna be doing this for 6 months? But moments when you have people write you messages and say, like, that's really inspirational, you made my day, that really inspires you to keep going. And it's worth every penny when you see someone, like, with a smile on their face. And so for me, that's what kept me going. Moments like when Tyler had his birthday, and for when people ask me to do private shows, or just for when people coming up and and taking a nice photo with me and walking away with a smile. And for me, that makes everything worth it.
Carl went to the streets undercover to find out what the public actually thought of his act. He was surprised to find out what a cult impact he had started to make in Berlin.
I think he's a fucking great Aussie singer. I love this man! Yeah, he's completely crazy. Well, I think it's interesting, it's different. Yeah. Like, it draws attention. It's a great idea.
He's funk.
Pretty great. He makes me laugh. Yeah,
awesome.
it's really great.
We like him at first sight. At least me, I like him. He's really great.
Fucking happy hour. I like horse. I like man. I like guitar. So I like a rolling horse.
I think he's a very good performer. The music is good, but I want to see his face.
I think he's pretty fucking awesome. Like, wild, crazy. I think it's really funny. It's not something that you see every time. I think he's crazy, but he's a good guy.
The naked word is crazy. Awesome.
It's cool, but I need some practice.
I think he looks perfect, like just Berlin way of living.
He represents the city very well.
This is a song I wrote about television. It's about television. It's called TV Told Me. I was thinking about television told me, but that's too long. So hi there, my name is Frederik Conradsen, or Freddy. I'm from Denmark, and here we go. TV tells me how to feel, even though it isn't real. TV tells me not to steal. You know, for me it's the heart of Europe, because I like to go on road trips and I can, you know, you're one step closer to, like, say, Paris or Madrid or Barcelona, or take a trip to Italy, or whenever I visit a festival, I'm closer to my location. So it's a great location, it's a beautiful city, and it's still cheap. It's like one of those, it's the last gem of Western Europe. People here are really friendly, and we got people from all over the world. So I always had a dream of seeing the whole world, and I just feel so incredibly blessed that I can take my music and take it with me, and it's such a great way of meeting people. Now I know what's really hip. I do this definitely for the love, and it's a good thing. I feel blessed that I'm able to make money doing what I love doing.
I don't like money, and I don't like what money makes you do, like getting a real job and working 9 to 5 and doing shit you hate so that you can carry on doing shit you hate.
It's this is our work. That's what we do. It's not, don't go to the office. We go here and work for it. So
it's tricky because I don't have any money, and I can't seem to get a proper job here.
The way that I make money now, it's like I realize I'm realistic, and I realize I need money to survive and to have a good time.
Because if I play on the street, people seem to appreciate it a lot and throw money at me, as opposed to working my ass off in a job where you don't get any appreciation. So it just seems to be more rewarding.
Because I like having a good time. I like treating myself. I like eating good food. I like going out partying. I like having some pot to smoke every now and then, you know? So I realize that I need to make money. So the fact that I can actually do what I love on my own terms, without a boss, on my own hours, with my own ideals and my own fun, and it's fun actually to do this. So I'm basically making money from what I love.
Occasional hecklers, like people just walking by and kind of shanking me, saying stuff like get a real job, and here's my answer to that. I tried that, I failed miserably, and I just felt in general miserable. So that's why I do what I do now, and it makes me happy. And to the people who walk by and say stuff like get a real job, I just hope they are happy doing what they're doing.
I'm going to go play at Mauer Park, and I'm going to go make like €100, and then I'm going to go to Budapest with that 100.
Pretty cocky. It's pretty cocky.
Well, the Naked Horse today is going to it's going to take things to a new level.
Without the sixth string.
Without a sixth.
But you know what? You might be lucky, and we might find some strings at the mile park.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I reckon, definitely. Even maybe in the markets. No, not the markets. Another busker. So, I'll do that, yeah.
Hey man, give me some love. That's actually the first time I fisted a horse. Check this out. My grandfather, his name was something.
When I started this movie, all I wanted to do was document what it was like to be a busker. And then through this whole experience of not knowing how to play and then becoming the naked horse, I didn't really know where it was going to take me, but it ended up blowing way out of proportion. So I think after about 3 months of playing, I started to meet people, and when they asked me what I did, I said, I'm that guy that dressed up in horse masks. They say, I know you, such and such. They take out their phone, they say, here's a photo of you. And I ended up doing interviews, being on TV, being in news magazines, and then people even addressing me on the street. And I would say, how do you know who I was? And they said, I recognize you from the shoes you were wearing or the tattoo on your arm. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now my Facebook has over 1,000 followers. So it's had an impact. I mean, a lot of people are like, wow, this horse thing, it's so weird, it's so, dust is so Berlin. And I like that I can be a part of it and be another little strange thing about Berlin. I definitely didn't expect this, but it's been a lot of fun. Some days I'm thinking, why am I doing this? But, overall, I had a great time and no one knew who I was. Max, my roommate, had said that we should try busking. I think he was inspired by the movie I was making. And I said, hey, come on, sure you've been on TV and sure you're playing big stages, but why don't you give busking a try? So he was good enough and actually took it on.
Well, I've been longing to travel for a long time, and I'm a musician, so I thought, being a musician, I travel a lot and do a lot of holidays or whatever and play everywhere. But I was at a moment where I was pretty much stuck in Berlin, stuck in Germany, and I couldn't get out because I was too afraid to, be away from an opportunity. So I didn't have any money and I didn't have any time really. And then I just said, fuck it, I wanna do something, I wanna go busk.
And I mean, as myself, as I said, when I was younger, I thought street musicians, were just kind of like bums. So for him to do that was really cool, but he was really excited about this idea, and he said, let's go to Budapest.
Well, basically, the whole idea was we just leave all the money, leave all our credit cards and whatever, and just try and live off the money we get from busking. So, and we set ourselves a date when we wanted to be in Budapest.
So we chose Budapest as our destination, but to get there we were going to make a few stops. So we kind of figured we'd probably stop from Berlin to Dresden, Dresden to Prague, and then from Prague to Budapest.
So I got a tent just in case we don't make enough money for a hostel or find people that will let us sleep there. And we went to the most southern bit of Berlin that goes in the direction of Prague, because Prague was our first stop.
We actually managed to get kind of lucky. We had only waited for an hour and a half for the first period, and then the second lift from Dresden to Prague, we had a tour bus that had just dropped off the band and was heading back to Prague. And me and Max had our guitars and our amps, and so when they pulled over, we were just like, oh, tour bus, perfect, this is amazing.
So we got this beautiful ride on this tour bus, and he drove us straight to Prague. And from then on, we just went down, looked a bit around, you know, where could we play, and it was tough finding a spot because, you know, you don't want to stand there and play and know you're annoying shop owners or whatever. So we found a really cool spot, I think. An hour because it started raining and we didn't even know how much money we made.
All we'd organised, or by the time we got there, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and all we'd organised was that there was a couch surfing meeting at some bar, and we thought, maybe we can go there, we can either stay out the whole night, or maybe we can find someone from this couch surfing meeting to crash at.
Oh, we went on couch surfing or whatever, you know, and Carl knows this from couch surfing before. I didn't know the website, and supposedly you could, you know, there's like people, they say like, oh, we're couch surfing here too, we're meeting at this bar and having some fun there.
And then we actually at the meeting we ended up meeting this really nice French guy called Zach that was living there. And so we went to his house, dropped off all our stuff, and then we were going to go out on a big night out in Prague to celebrate.
So we decided to go out and party at a club or something, and then we dropped off our stuff at his place at the art gallery thing, and we went out to party. And we were pretty drunk, and then 1:30 or something, I don't know, we went down to catch a train, and I had this brilliant idea of sliding down some stairs, and yeah, that was pretty much a dumb idea.
Falling on the ground?
Man, what the fuck, man? About my fucking...
Because you got a lot of trouble with his insurance, so it takes 1 year and a half to make them replaced. So he learned to speak without...
That was really stupid. It was really funny, but it was really stupid.
I couldn't say you don't deserve it.
Nah, I fucking deserve it. Fuck this.
Yeah, but I had to do it because, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I lost my teeth. Half of my teeth.
We ended up having to go back to Germany so he could go to the dentist and the hospital to get his teeth fixed straight away.
I don't even know where to begin with this stuff because this whole fucking trip was fucking weird as shit because this English dude, I mean, where to begin? This guy, he was a medic in the English army. He served in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that, and and as it so happened, he bought a house in Germany at the border of Prague.
I stayed in Prague and made my way to Budapest while he was in Germany, and then we decided to meet up in Budapest. And there we played, and you know, it was great. We made actually quite a lot of money. I think I made €40 in an hour.
I'm reaching my arms out. Let's take this song, yeah. Let's dance in the clouds, so high on board. Won't you come party with me? Yeah, I think you'd agree. We all have our reasons, but the night
yeah, busking there was way better. We had enough money to like get ourselves a hostel every day, so we went out, busked, went to the hostel, gave them money, and went busking. But you know, the bohemes that we are, we spent all of the money that we made on one day that night. So we'd always have to start from scratch again.
So, you know, it had turned out to be a pretty successful trip, apart from the problems that we had along the way. And then it showed me that I guess I can really do this anywhere I go.
It's a pretty fucking rad experience that we had. Yeah.
Crazy horse.
Where is he going? I need to drink some water.
Yeah,
that's good. Crazy horse. It's crazy this horse, my gosh. Come follow him. He's gonna play music.
While playing at Mower Park, Carl had met several other street musicians. One of these groups, called Charity Children, originally formed as a duo from New Zealand. Chloe and Elliot originally came to Berlin to pursue acting careers, but had ended up playing on the street to make ends meet when this plan had not worked out as well as they originally hoped.
You're sitting with me, Elliot, and
I'm Chloe.
And we're in a band, a street band called Charity Children. We started the band the first day we went down onto the street when we got to Berlin. It was probably...
It's like a week after we got to Berlin. We were sort of running out of money after a week. And we'd sort of always played music together, but kind of just in the safety of our own bedroom. Like, we never played in front of people. We were way too shy to do that. Yeah, we got here, we saw our money dwindling.
And we realised that
we hadn't made any plans of what to do in Berlin. Like,
we knew that it was the city, we knew Berlin was the city that we wanted to live in, but we didn't know
we'd
do here.
We'd just sort of like fallen in love and moved over together, and we got here, and then we sort of realised that we didn't have anything to do, so we went down to the streets one night, and we just we didn't really even have very many songs of our own at that time, like just a couple. So we were just sort of playing covers, and we just went down to this street corner outside like some takeaway place on Hermannsstraße and just played for a few hours, and like we were just amazed at the response that we got. We didn't think that anyone would stop or anyone would notice, but the people that did were like really nice, and we made 12 euros and a couple apples, and we were really happy with that after a couple of hours.
Waiting at a hidden place, a plane takes to the skies. Images of love in foreign lands dripping from my eyes. My stomach turns.
I guess we didn't start the band until maybe a couple of months later, when we used to have people. After a couple of months, we got really sick of playing covers, as people usually do, so we'd spend all of our evenings sitting in this apartment that we got and just writing music, and we'd go out and try these new songs on the street. And after a while, people would come up to us after we were playing on the street, and they'd come up and say, you know, we really like your sound. What's your band called? And this question used to make us laugh. I mean, we were like, what do you mean a band? We're just playing, you know, little songs on the side of the road. And like, how do we find you again? And we thought, well, I guess, you know, I mean, what is a band but a group of people that play music? So I guess we're a band. So we came up with the name Charity Children, which is it's a line from, well, it's part of a line from a book by Oscar Wilde, a children's story called The Happy Prince. And the charity children in that story are a bunch of dreamers, and we thought that, you know, like, I guess, you know, we lived on the kindness of others, basically. We were, you know, dreaming, living on the kindness of others, so we were sort of charity children. And that's how the name originated, and that's when we started the band, I guess. Yeah, I can tell this story. This is a probably when we first got here in 2011, in the summer of 2011, we played every single day on the street, pretty much, besides unless it was raining. And we were playing in Hackashemark once, and we got kicked out of there by the Polizei, but before they kicked us out, one of the restaurants around the place gave us a job to play there that night, basically. And we went and played there, and we made a little bit of money, but it was a really horrible thing to do. All they wanted us to do, the only question was, can you play Beatles covers? And we said, we don't know any Beatles covers, I'm so sorry. And they're like, Eagles covers? Do you know Hotel California? We don't, I'm so sorry. And they're like, well, do your own music, and we did, and we ended up getting fired because, I don't know, we were a little bit too loud and, you know, maybe a little bit too drunk, I don't know. But we went down, we finished that gig, and we were like, God, we have to get out, and we have to go back play on the street this night. So we went down to Alexanderplatz and we played, and a guy walked up to us after our first set, and he just said, I know it's really tough starting out, and he shook my hand, and it was one of those handshakes where there's obviously some money in there, and I was like, oh wow, 5 or 10 euros is great, and it ended up being, he gave us 50 euros, I think, and
he said, this is for following your dreams, because I never did.
Carl had gone to Mauer Park one more time in hope of talking to a few more buskers. While he was there, he met Hera, a nice Australian girl, and a band called Rupert's Kitchen, who had been frequenting Mauer Park for several years.
Well, the band itself started long ago, but in this constellation we play like 6 years. 7 years. Also on venues, yeah.
Yeah?
Also venues or private parties or whatever. Venues or on the street?
Yeah.
It's different. it's a different. It's both nice, but
when we play venues, we have a keyboarder, so it's different. So it's a different sound. It's more club sound with his Fender Rhodes, and he's playing Fender Rhodes. And on the street, it's more rough, and it's hard and good school.
We play it on the streets more often.
I've been busking in Berlin for about a year and a half. But I fell in love with Berlin about a year ago. Oh no, about 3 years ago, where before I lived here, I was supposed to live in London. I came to Berlin to visit, and I was supposed to be here for one night. I ended up staying for 3 weeks. And by the time I left, I had like job offers and friends, and it really felt like home, and there was kids and everything. And then the whole time I was living in London, I was like, this place is a shithole. I should be in Berlin. And so eventually, after about a year, I packed up my shit and I moved to Berlin, and it's been incredibly awesome ever since. Apart from busking, I mean, for me, apart from busking is like the stuff that I'm doing with the band, with Whiskey and Rhymes. We just keep getting booked for really awesome gigs and paid gigs, and people hear our music and they seem to like it and want us to come back, and that's it's getting a little bit famous, but like just in the area of vetting Berlin. But it's very cool. I walk the streets and people are like, "Hey, you're from the band." Like, nice to meet you. So yeah, more band stuff, tours with the band, selling. So we've got that EP coming out, and trying to just get more listeners. Yeah, like literally, like I want to be in German. I mean, politics in Australia is kind of going to shit right now, and Germany is just very open-minded.
So I met this street musician, this Busker, and I'd seen him playing around a lot of places. I tried to get an interview with him before, but you know, we didn't manage to have the time, or it wasn't right. And so the only interview I got to do with this guy was a little interesting. When it becomes winter, busking becomes something different. And when I was interviewing Stefan, I think this interview really brings out the winter side of busking. This next clip I couldn't edit, just because there is no other way to explain this as to what you see.
It was nearing the end of the 6 months, and Carl had gone to Alexanderplatz to catch up with Stephen Prescott, a veteran busker who had been playing on the streets of Berlin for the last 8 years.
How you doing, Alice?
Fucking cold.
How many CDs to sell tonight?
Have you? 20 items.
So tonight you've already had one problem, the broken strings.
Yeah, see how many other problems I can come up.
How long do you expect to play tonight?
45 minutes tops, it's freezing.
Out on an all day?
Maybe 45 minutes tops, I'm lazy. I was busking in Melbourne for a little while, but it's shit. So I don't know, when I came to Paris, I didn't have any money and I had a guitar, so I just started doing that, and then I came here kind of the same way.
Can you tell me about your worst experience busking?
Not really, it's really not that exciting. Like, if it's going well, it's great. If it's not going well, it sucks. It's all kind of the same.
Yeah, but I mean, like, has anyone ever tried to steal?
Yeah, all the time.
Tell me a story.
People...
About your worst time. You know, one specific time.
There was no one specific time. You might as well ask me about my best time. There was no one specific best time. You know that. Anybody who says there's a specific best time or a specific worst time either hasn't been doing it for very long or is completely full of shit. I'm really not good at interviews.
You don't like interviews. I can tell. There's more. Okay, what's the weirdest street performer you've ever seen? Okay.
The weirdest street performer, so I kind of felt sorry for her a bit. There's this American girl in California who, I don't know, some sort of art school dropout or something. She was wearing this lizard costume here. And she had a little sign up saying, 1 photo, €1. And she was improvising the scene. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I sort of just stuck around watching like you look at a car crash. And every time someone came past and took a photo without paying, she'd drop the microphone, chase them down and start screaming at them. And so everyone who was watching would leave. Afterwards I heard her talking on the phone complaining about how she'd only made €9 in 2 hours. That was pretty funny.
Busking is something that has become a part of my life. Like, my initial intention was to actually do this film for 3 months. And then after losing my camera and having all the back problems, I extended it to 6 months. And now it's been a year and I'm still busking. I think it's something I'll continue to do for the rest of my life. I mean, it might not be a full-time thing like it is now, but if I can travel around the world with a guitar, you know, if I can just be sitting at a train station waiting for my next train, and I can whip out, put my case out and earn some money for doing something I love, that's amazing. The reason I chose these particular musicians to film was they all had something unique, and they were all from somewhere different. And these were people that had dedicated their lives to music. You know, they weren't just doing it as a hobby, this was their life. Busking is a way of life, you know. And I'm really glad I had the opportunity to find that out. And it's definitely something I'm going to continue.
6 months had now passed and the experiment for the documentary was over. It was Carl's final night in Berlin, and he'd gone to a concert of Alice's. He was also leaving Berlin for the winter. The experiment was a success, and Carl had established himself in Berlin as the Naked Horse. Carl had made many friends, grown as a musician, found out that Busking was a vast community of diverse artists, each with a unique view on life, music and ideologies. The experience had affected Carl profoundly, to such an extent that he is now keen to explore more of what the fringes of life has to offer. Where will his next challenge take him?
I don't know how much you know about me, but I've been here for 6 months playing on the street and living out my dreams, I guess, and it's all kind of led to this, so that's why this is a very important concert for me, because it's like the final thing, I guess, I don't know, and it's so nice that you can be here to share it with me. I really appreciate it, and it's such a beautiful crowd. I looked around and it's just like so many different people. Some of you I don't know, some of you I met on the street along the way, you know, and it's just so nice that I could bring you all together. So thank you, and yeah, I'm going to play some more songs for you. This one's called Grey, and it's very sad.
How you doing? I'm the Naked Horse.
Aggressive energy, and then when I was putting One Love, then everybody was hugging each other and making peace signs and smiling everywhere, and then even the police was changing the face from aggressive to looking to each other and beginning to smile. And after that the police was coming to me, and it was a completely illegal party, and the police was coming to me and saying, okay, if the party stays like this in a positive way, then you can continue.
Every day on the street corners, train stations, markets, tourist hotspots, you see people performing, trying to earn a living or wanting to showcase their art. This can be found all over the globe, from musicians, mimes, clowns, fire performers and artists. Some of them extremely talented, some of them extremely bizarre. This documentary is about a filmmaker called Carl, who wanted to see what it was like to live his life as a street musician. What turned out was not what he expected. Having grown up in Australia in the small town of Perth, music was always a keen interest of his, but he wanted more adventure, so he went to Berlin to make a documentary. Carl briefly lived in Berlin in 2011 and decided to make Berlin the subject of his film. Wanting to set himself a challenge, he flew to Berlin penniless, but for a guitar, to experience firsthand as a busker the duration of 6 months, living only on the money earned on the street.
I think it all started about a year ago when I was living in Australia, and I decided I wanted to make a documentary about street music. I guess maybe the thing I found interesting was, why do people become buskers? And why do you end up doing that? Like, as the musician I once was 10 years ago, you see, I used to want to, all I wanted to be was a rock star. Like, growing up, that was my dream. And so the idea of playing on the street, it didn't really appeal to me, because it just seemed it's something that you're almost begging for money, or at least that's the interpretation that comes across when you're in Australia. I mean, you walk past people that they're generally playing some crappy songs that you've heard a million times, and it doesn't wow you. So I hadn't wanted to be one in the past, but then I met some people in Australia who had been busking, but they were also a real band, and they showed me that you can actually make a bit of decent money from doing this, but I had no idea. And then it started to intrigue me. What is this world of busking and what's going on? And there have been several musicians that have made it famous throughout doing this. Like, one of them, a guy called John Butler Trio, another guy called Dub FX, you know, and these are two really huge artists that started on the street and now are quite famous. So there was definitely something there, and it wasn't something that I had experienced before. So what not a better thing to make a movie about? But obviously, living in Australia, all these life
and for love, because love of music, and in the end, a lot of people was telling us all the time, "Hey, you have a CD? I want to have your music for home." And like it was during like a lot of years we wasn't with any CDs, and a lot of times we wasn't even collecting money because we was doing it for fun. We was jamming on the streets, and for us it was like something cleaning ourselves with the music and having fun and connecting with the people, and it was not about money. The most funny story about our about music as a street art was in the train station for me, because I do DJing. A lot of times I have playing in the train station, Schlesisches Tor, and if you put in music in some space, especially in a place where it's not expected to have some party or some music, then the atmosphere is changing. And usually there at the train station there was a huge party going on, and one time it was so full that the people wasn't coming out of the train anymore, and then the police was coming and closing the doors, and they were looking very aggressive, and we was in the middle of an electro party, and in the end I was feeling the bad vibes against the police. You know, there was like people shouting and was kind of collapsing the energy and the vibe, and then I was putting in One Love from Bob Marley, and the whole situation changed, because it was coming
up to you and saying you can't do this here.
The band itself started long ago, but in this constellation we play like 6 years? 7. Maybe 7 years, yes.
Yeah, I was talking about this. The issue at hand is we might have too much stuff, so people won't pick us up.
That was the point where I kind of snapped and said, now I'm going to do music.
We are Puto Production from Berlin. I'm Miguel, and this is Damien. I'm from Chile, he's from Cuba, and we do some drum beats just with the drums. We played together like 9 years. In our part we started to play in 2010. We played together very intensive, I think, since 2011. There we was playing every Sunday here in our park. He was playing years and years on the streets, but for fun.
I support this.
I've been playing in Berlin for 4 months this year. You can go like this the whole time, yeah.
I do this definitely for the love, and it's a good thing. I feel blessed that I also am able to make money doing what I love doing.
I'm in Berlin right now, right here.
I'm Temple Hayes. Wait, you're what?
Temple Hayes.
Temple Hayes? What's your name?
Temple Hayes.
If it's going well, it's great. If it's not going well, it sucks.
Having a police, a policeman